morning. I'm so glad to be back here at Reed's Bookshop today to read some awesome books to you again. So thank you so much for having me. It is my favorite time of year, and I'm really excited because I get to read some books about fall and Halloween. Um, so my name is Maddie, and I'm happy that you're here to read these books with me. We're going to start with this one. That is new to me, and it's already one of my favorites. This is a great book because it's really fun, and it also teaches some really cool information about animals and their habits during the fall and winter and hibernation. And I think that's really valuable because it makes it fun and you don't really realize that you're learning. It's called It's a Pumpkin, and I'm sure you know that this is a pumpkin, but we'll find out that these animals don't know that. They found it in the middle of the road. What is it? Field Mouse asked. It looks kind of familiar. I don't know, said Squirrel. It's a mystery. I'll tell you what it is, said Field Mouse. It's in the way. They pushed it over so that it could roll. It rolled and rolled all the way to the possum's nap spot. Bonk. Hit him on the head. Sorry, said Field Mouse. What is it? Possum asked. That's just what we were wondering, said Squirrel. Possum squinted at it. Then he sat on it. He said, it's a chair. They all tried it. Pretty comfy, said Possum. Disagree, said Squirrel. I don't think it's a chair, said Field Mouse. Of course it's not a chair, called the raccoon from her window. So what is it? Asked Possum. Is it for eating? Guessed Squirrel. Well, now that you mention it, said Raccoon, wait right there. A moment later, she came out with a big plate of cookies. Get up from that chair, she told Possum. I thought you said it wasn't a chair, he said. It's not. Raccoon set the plate on top. See, she said, it's a table. A table, said Field Mouse. Are you sure? Please have some cookies, said Raccoon. I made way too many. Possum went to get cider. The rabbit family joined them, and the woodchuck family too, and the party started. This is fun, said Woodchuck. But you call that a table? Actually, said Squirrel, we don't know what it is. I know one thing we can do with it, said Woodchuck. Come on. Woodchuck set it next to the door to his burrow. See, he said, it makes a nice doorstop. They carried the cookies and the cider through the open door, and the party went on. The chipmunk stopped by, and even 3 chickadees. This is great, said Squirrel. We never have parties. Field Mouse was just pouring another cup of cider when the door went slam. Everyone turned to see the skunk standing there with a sly smile. Skunk, said Woodchuck, why did you move the doorstop? I happen to know, she said, that it's not a doorstop. No kidding, said Squirrel, but what is it? I've seen it at people's houses, replied Skunk. It's a lamp. A lamp, said everyone. I'll show you, she said. Who's got a knife and a big spoon? And we'll need a candle. It made a very nice lamp. It had a jolly face, and it flickered, and it made them all want to dance spooky dances. The party went on. But are you sure it's a lamp? Field Mouse asked Skunk. What if someone... Whoops, said Woodchuck. Knocks it over, finished Field Mouse. The crowd looked at the broken mess. What is it now? Whispered Raccoon. One of the rabbit twins sniffed at the pieces. I think it could be a pie, she said, like our grandmother used to make. Yes, said her brother, a big pie. We can make it. Everyone helped. Squirrel sighed after he finished his pie slice. Whatever it was, said Squirrel, it was tasty. Don't say was, said Chickadee. It's not all gone yet. He hopped over to a bowl that Skunk had filled with glop while carving the lamp. He picked some of the seeds out. Oh, I bet it would be delicious to roast those, said Raccoon. Let's do it, said Field Mouse. Everyone can take some seeds home, said Woodchuck. The party was almost over. They all helped clean up. The rabbits and Skunk did the dishes. A possum emptied the glop bowl outside. Then it was time to go. Field Mouse ate her seeds all at once. Squirrel stashed his away and savored them slowly over the winter. Woodchuck slept all winter and saved his seeds for a snack when he woke up. By spring, everyone had forgotten about the party and about it. They were busy doing other things. Then one morning, Possum was scurrying home to bed when he saw something behind Woodchuck's burrow. He called over Field Mouse and Squirrel. Look, he said, it's a plant. Everyone watched it all summer. It's a big plant, said Raccoon. A few weeks later, Skunk said, wow, it's a flower. Look, called Woodchuck one day in September. It's a watermelon. I don't think so, said Chipmunk. It's too small. It's getting bigger, said the rabbits. It's getting orange, said Chickadee. It looks very familiar, said Field Mouse. I know what it is, said Squirrel. What? Asked Possum. What is it? It's time, answered Squirrel. It's time for a party. And he was right. I think that's such a cute book.
Thank you.
This is a really fun one that's also new to me. It's called If You're Scary and You Know It, and it will definitely make you want to sing a familiar tune. If you're spooky and you know it, moan and groan. Float around and haunt the people in your home. Strap on skates, thump and bump. Make your little brothers jump. If you're spooky and you know it, moan and groan. If you're greedy and you know it, shout yo-ho! Dance a pirate jig until it's time to go. Wave your rusty trusty sword, order scallywags aboard. If you're greedy and you know it, shout yo-ho! If you're witchy and you know it, mix a brew. Throw some frog legs in your potion, icky poo. Cackle as the cauldron bubbles, add a taste of trolls and troubles. If you're witchy and you know it, mix a brew. If you're fiendish and you know it, flash a smile. Bare your pointed teeth and show a vampy style. Wrap your cloak above your chin, pull some tasty people in. If you're fiendish and you know it, flash a smile. If you're hairy and you know it, howl and growl. When the moon is full, it's time for you to prowl. As your prey comes into sight, snatch it quick and take a bite. If you're hairy and you know it, howl and growl. If you're sneaky and you know it, arch your back. Spread your claws to show you're ready to attack. Twitch your tail and screech meow. Show the little kitties how. If you're sneaky and you know it, arch your back. If you're frightful and you know it, shake an arm while you're standing in a field out on a farm. If birds peck at your crop, wave at them until they stop. If you're frightful and you know it, shake an arm. If you're bony and you know it, touch your toes. You can bend and twist to strike a funny pose. Spread your arms and bend your knees. Move in any way you please. If you're bony and you know it, touch your toes. If you're scary and you know it, stomp your feet as you meet up with your friends out on the street. Do you know what they're doing? Walk together door to door to get candy and lots more. If you're scary and you know it, trick or treat. I think that's such a fun book. And maybe you saw some of your favorite Halloween costumes in that book. This is a really sweet story that's also about Halloween. It's called The Super Tiny Ghost. Once there was a super tiny ghost. He booed and screamed and moaned the most. But no one noticed he was there. Not even children paused to stare. He tried with all his tiny might to scare them in their beds at night. But they just thought he was a sheet with big black eyes and hidden feet. He made a list of things to try to make the humans scream and cry. But everything he tried to do backfired and made him feel blue. He watched the witches with their cats and listened to the vampire bats. He tried to learn their ghastly tricks by watching monster horror flicks. He wanted to be really spooky, but he came off strange and oddly kooky. Being a ghost just isn't any fun if you can't make people scream and run. He looks very sad. He even went to scary school to study being mean and cruel. But when he tried to terrify, they paid no mind, which made him cry. It would soon be time for Halloween, and in his heart, he had a dream. He wanted to be wild and frightening, with boos like thunder and eyes like lightning. So he floated softly through the door of the local party costume store. Everyone would scream and race away when this new scary ghost came out to play. What type of Halloween costume do you think he's gonna pick? They had scary monsters and hairy beasts, vampires, zombies and voodoo priests, creepy spiders and spell-casting witches, and mummies all wrapped up in stitches. He picked the best costume off the last rack and stuck it inside a trick-or-treat sack. When he tried it on in the dressing room, he was the perfect picture of doom and gloom. He had blood on his forehead and a toothless grin, warts on his neck and bright green skin. He walked like a mummy with a lurching pace. Only a mother could love that face. Let's see if he can finally be scary. When he went back out into the store, people screamed and ran for the door. Now he was ready to frighten and scare. No one would laugh now. They wouldn't dare. A few days passed. It was Halloween night. The streets were lit by jack-o'-lantern light, and the humans in costumes, both young and old, wandered into the dark, crisp autumn cold. The tiny ghost had the best disguise. But much to his horror and great surprise, no one he met screamed or ran away. They just thought he was there to play. Look, his friends know who he is. They say, "Hi, Frankie." Except for one tiny baby, her eyes went wide. She let out a piercing scream, and then she cried. And suddenly the super tiny ghost felt so sad. Making this baby scream made him feel bad. So he stopped for a moment and took off his head and popped out with his tiny ghost head instead. Then the baby started laughing and he felt complete. She patted his round head and gave him a treat. The end. I like those Halloween books because they're really funny and they're not too spooky. And that one's got a really sweet message to it. All right, this is my last book, and it's called Little Owl's Night, and I love this book because the illustrations are so beautiful. Little Owl was having a wonderful night. He watched the funny possum family waddle along in a neat row. Hedgehog sniffed around the mushroom patch. Skunk was eating berries because he could find no snails. By the river, beavers gnawed at trees. Turtle hid in her shell as fireflies danced all around. Little Owl visited his friend the raccoon. As they sat in the clover, fog rolled in and hovered just overhead. Moths fluttered toward the moon. Silver dust fell from their wings. Little Owl wanted to follow, but it was time to head home. On the way, Little Owl flew by Grumbly Cave. Bear was inside, snoring up a storm. "Wake up, Bear. Don't sleep all night," Little Owl sang. "I want to show you the moon." But the bear kept snoring as usual. Little Owl flew home to his tree, gazing at the sky. He wondered if the bear had ever seen stars. Little Owl sat on his branch. How he loved the night forest. Frog croaked softly. Cricket chirped smartly. Little Owl heard rustling at the foot of his tree. Fox had come to say hello. It was late now. The bats were gliding home. "Mama," Little Owl whispered, "tell me again how night ends." "The moon and stars fade to ghosts," Mama said. "Spiderwebs turn to silver threads. Dewdrops sparkle on leaves, and grass, like tiny stars, come down. Moonflowers close and morning glories open. The sky brightens from black to blue, blue to red, red to gold. The rooster crows, the crows call, and the day begins," said Mama. But Little Owl did not hear. He was fast asleep. I love that book, and I think it's a great fall bedtime story. So, thank you so much for letting me read to you this morning, and I hope you'll come check out all these great books at Reed's Bookstore.